right, you guys are live.
All right. This meeting of the Akron Civil Rights Commission is hereby called to order. The notice of the meeting and the agenda had been appropriately circulated. And our first item is to consider suspending our rules requiring in-person attendance, in-person voting, and in-person public comment. Can I have a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved. Oh,
Second.
I see a motion by Commissioner Thomas and a second by Commissioner Holland. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Second, we have approval of the minutes that were distributed for the December meeting. Is there a motion to approve the December minutes?
I move that we approve the minutes for December.
And is there a second?
Second, Nancy.
Any discussion or what do you call them? Corrections? Hearing none. All in favor of approving the December meeting minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. We have a couple of pieces of old business on our agenda. One of them is a report on complaint 19 ACRC 00013, and that had been assigned to Commissioner Pitt, who is not present. John, did you hear anything from about this? About the status
No,
of
I
this
didn't.
investigation?
I did not hear anything from Annette about this investigation, and I also didn't hear anything that she wouldn't be at the meeting tonight either.
Okay.
So.
And so we will set that aside. Our second item of old business is a report on investigation 20 ACRC 03 and 04, which have been combined, which were assigned to Commissioner Mobley. Is there a report?
The motion to amend the complainant, or to add JSI as a complainant, went through. John sent out the statement or the letter to the new respondent, and they replied with their legal counsel asking that they be the point of contact going forward. So the investigation is ongoing.
Investigation is ongoing. Fabulous. And I think that is all we need to say about either of those items. This could be a quick meeting. We are on to new business. John, do we have any new complaints? I did not see any come through the email.
No, there were no new complaints this month.
All right. And we have a consideration of amending the rules for remote attendance and voting. And I think there was going to be a draft, but I don't know that there was progress made on that for this meeting.
I put that on the agenda with the intention of having a draft for you in advance for your consideration, but I was not able to pull that together. So the fact that it's on the agenda will force me to have something for you prior to next month's meeting. Hopefully next month will be the last time you have to make that special motion at the beginning of your meetings. The rules don't need a real major overhaul. It's just a question of me actually getting to it. So I apologize for that.
Oh no, that's are there any issues as you think about drafting those rules that you may need the commission's sort of to weigh in on decisions to be made?
I don't think so, because they're not going to be very technical. It's just really it's gonna recognize what the charter amendments that passed in November in conjunction with the state law that's in effect right now that allow these types of meetings to be conducted virtually. I mean, you're covered at this point. But the council, the charter amendment that passed said that these can carry on pursuant to your rules as long as you have rules recognizing virtual meetings. So we just need to get this addressed. It's not going to be very technical. It's not going to be extremely detailed. It's just going to recognize that you can do this and that your meetings will be live streamed. Sort of exactly just putting into verbiage what you're doing right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Does any commissioner have a question or about that? I did want to raise one question myself, which is the provision for public comments. We're following the same thing that City Council does, right? Which is all comments come through email or by voice message, and they know that at the council meetings they actually play them or read them out. And we say that we're going to do the same, although I don't think that we've ever actually gotten a public comment.
We have not gotten a comment, and the council, City Council actually has a staff of a clerk and two assistant clerks, or a deputy clerk and an assistant, and they actually are able to man those voicemails. Whereas at the law department, that'd be a little more cumbersome because we really don't have a staff designated
Right
for this
right.
body.
So my question was a little broader, which was whether there's some. I know that we are in a way in compliance, I guess, with at least the letter when anybody who wants to get on the link can view can stream our meeting, right? When City Council moved to that system, right, then you could no longer go to the meeting and sign up and speak in response to something that happened at the meeting. You could only do it in advance. And I just had some general questions about whether that's and this is not something you need to answer right here on the spot, but whether that's in compliance with both the letter of public meeting laws about people, if it's going to be a public meeting, right, do you have to provide for some kind of public comment provision, and also the spirit, right, about whether the idea is that somebody should be able to come to the meeting, watch what happens, and then, and of course, in some regulated way, offer feedback, opinion, right, from just members of the public about the meeting that they just saw. So as I say, I don't expect you to sort of just give me an immediate answer, but I just wanted to voice that observation about the way those provisions work, right? You have to know in advance what you're going to say and write it in an email a couple of hours before the meeting that's going to take place in order to make a public comment. So not trying to create work for us.
Professor Lee, just
yeah.
to point out, the city law department did research this matter, of course,
Okay.
during and we can get you a more detailed response to it, but just very generally, of course, public meetings do require that there be a public comment requirement there, but there has been some, because of the emergency situation that we're in, the Attorney General's office has done some waiver and some kind of made some provisions for the flexibility due to this period. So we can share some of that information with you, but that's just very generally what, so we're in compliance in terms of providing for the public comment period, the way we are.
Right. And I know that people are always hesitant to open the door wider to, the possibility of of, many members of the public offering comments. And we, of course, don't have anything like that as a problem. In fact, kind of the opposite. I kind of wish more people would be aware of our meetings and, might want to see what was happening. So that was just an observation on that. But if there are no other comments regarding the rules regarding remote attendance and voting, we can move on. Items 5 and 6 are standing items on our agenda with regard to any projects to develop community involvement and community education. I don't know if there are any updates. Sometimes during this time of the meeting, if anyone has been involved in any educational forums or some such thing, or is interested in planning one, there's a report at this point. So has anybody have anything to offer on this, to speak on these agenda items?
Commissioner Lee, this is Gina Kay.
Yeah.
I think I made a suggestion a meeting ago or 2 meetings ago about the possibility of us doing something, I guess maybe having a forum that the public could, an educational forum that they could tune into, and possibly even we could record it and put it on the city's website. So it's sort of a Q&A and just answers people's questions, and they would get a chance to see who the commissioners are. And it would just be like a PSA, but virtual, and they could kind of tune in and just, maybe we could get the city to put some highlights around it or something. I don't know. We talked about the water bill thing, but just drawing people's attention to it so that they could tune in and learn more about the commission.
Yes, actually, I remember that discussion. I don't remember whether it was 1 or 2 meetings ago. Is there a proposal to, so what would our first or next step be in wanting to do something like that? Do you feel like we need a script to be developed, or?
I think we were going to use kind of just as a template, some of the things we had done with regard to Commissioner Pitt and I did around the PowerPoint, and just kind of maybe fluff those up and use that maybe, and to talk through it. And then we of course have a picture of the commissioners, current picture of the commissioners, but we just kind of use that as maybe a 10-minute narrated, perhaps, little featurette that people could click on or turn to. That was my recollection, is using.
Right.
So and it's, it's been a month or 2, and of course, Christmas got in the way, and I'm still recovering from all the holidays and stuff. So I just want to kind of bring that back up, and we never really explored how we would do it, but I think using the PowerPoint that we had originally done and maybe tweaking it and posting it would be an avenue for public education.
And I really apologize if you sent this and I didn't pay attention. Did you circulate that PowerPoint sort of?
Maybe that's what the breakdown was. Now,
within the last few months?
I had a version, and Nanette did a version when we both did it 2 different times. She did it at her church for a community event, and then I did it for Rich Swirsky. So I think that now that it's coming back to me, you were quite right. My responsibility was to circulate that. So I will send it to John, and then John, if you can send it to everybody, if you would, and then everybody can opine, and the city, of course, can make sure we're saying everything the right way, and then decide on how we want it to be presented on the city's site, on our link on the website.
Sure,
I think that'd be a great step, so that everybody knows what we're talking about. In fact, I think the other 3 commissioners were not here when we reviewed that PowerPoint way back when. So that'd be helpful, and people may have different ideas about what should be in it as a starting point. I think that ultimately, we might want to script it out and
Right.
have particular lines for each commissioner, right? So that we could build a video that had each of us explain a piece of it, get a little bit of shared FaceTime to put on the video. I don't know, does the city have a video production kind of a person?
We do have, in our communications department, who do we have, John? I think, I mean, Nina probably is, I don't know if she's involved in that, but I know that we do have, Ellen would probably be the person to ask about that. She, of course, is the press relations person for the city. But I don't know if.
Yeah, I can't help you out there, Yamini. I'm not sure who would do that.
Yeah, but
I know some very minor video editing, but as far as IT, there is no one in a position that does video editing or photo editing for the city. If there is someone that would do something like that, I think Ellen is probably your best start.
If there is not, we work with some interns from the University of Akron who do a phenomenal job with video.
Yeah.
And so I might be able to ask our intern if that's something she would like to do on the side.
There's the marketing department, right? Has a really good facility for that.
Commissioner Lee, we also have a resource with Dr. Ash. He may know someone in his
Right.
business and marketing.
Right. So so this is what I do. This is my big flaw. I always think way ahead of. I'm jumping ahead. Right. We're already accepting the award for the best produced mini documentary on the Akron Civil Rights Commission. So first step, you're going to circulate the PowerPoint. We'll all get a look at it, and we'll get a chance to revisit this question about sort of what we do next at our next meeting.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
All right.
would you like this? Would you like this to appear on a future agenda, specifically so that we keep track of it and don't lose track of where we're at on this? And
Yeah,
if so, I'm wondering what you'd like me to call it.
I think that it would be a sub item under the community education agenda item, and we could call it production of video. Unless anybody has another better idea.
It helps. In the minutes that I'm taking, I noted it, I made a note of it as a visual PSA.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Yes,
Sweet.
that sounds good to me.
That sounds real official, LaTonda. I like that.
Thanks.
All right, we can do that.
And just as my last thought, and if there are any others, this is maybe not related to those items. So we still have a vacancy, is that right, on this commission?
Yes.
Do you know, John? Do you know if there is any movement or activity thought being given to filling that vacancy?
I do not.
Okay.
I could follow up with Ellen.
Okay. I mean, I think that part of what that means, what it has meant, they often ask us if we have any particular people who we would like to recommend as to fill a vacancy. I don't know if they're actively planning to fill it or if they're going to wait till June, when we kind of have an annual that's our rhythm for when the initial commissioners were appointed. But that was just something that I had in mind, that it'd be nice to fill out the roster.
Right.
If you have any names, Commissioner Lee, please, forward it. You can forward it to Ellen.
Okay. And anybody else, of course. All right. And then I suppose I should have asked when we were still on it whether there was any other new business, any other items that any commissioners wanted to raise. Hearing none, that's the end of our agenda. Any public comments?
No, I checked at 4:20 this afternoon with my secretary, and there were no public comments.
Okay. Let me just say this in closing. We at one point, obviously before pandemic, right? We at one point were trying to publicize the existence of the commission and its role. And then we started to get a fair number of complaints in 2019. And there's always a balance for us between, being like going out and looking for business, which is kind of our job, right? To make sure that people know that their civil rights complaints can be addressed, and balancing that with our capacity to actually handle complaints, right? So we did, in my recollection of how this works, and people can correct me, but that we sort of tried to start spreading the word kind of early in 2019, and started to get a fair number of complaints, and then kind of slowed down, right, on the publicity efforts, kind of not wanting to generate more business than we could handle, right? But I do feel like I don't mind having a short meeting, but the work of this commission is really important, and it partly means that not enough people know about us, because I don't believe it's the case that there are no civil rights violations happening in this community. So I just put that out there for commissioners to think about, whether that's an issue you'd like us to address more intentionally, more directly, more actively in the future. Any other closing thoughts for the good of the order?
Commissioner Lee, I just would, I remember the dilemma we had when we were, kind of working towards getting up and running. And then we start getting business, as we call it. And I would just suggest that maybe because of the pandemic, I would not say that there is any less discrimination, but I just think there is less opportunity for those things, perhaps except for maybe housing or something like that. But given the fact right now that people who can't pay rent, everybody who can't pay rent can't pay rent. So I'm just at least alerting us to the fact that people aren't out and about as they were in the past. So if we think about some of the complaints or charges for discrimination that we got, the movie theater or whatever, those events aren't happening organically now. So it just may have put a damper on the social interaction, which would have brought some of those things to light. So I just, not by making an excuse, but just saying that the opportunity for engagement has probably waned somewhat. I don't know how anyone else thinks.
Yes, thank you. I think that certainly, to the extent that retail interaction is a trigger for complaints, there's certainly been a lot less of that. All right, if there is nothing further, then we are adjourned. Oh wait, I need a motion. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I see a couple of motions in a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.